Why Apep? That's the question that I've been asked. Why Apep? Well, first and foremost, Apep is the adversary representing chaos, darkness, and primal instinct. In the left-hand path, the adversary is very important. That means you're going against the norm of society, religious beliefs, even challenging your own moral beliefs, superstitions, traditions. Left-hand path is the adversary to all that. We challenge all of that because we're challenging ourselves to push forward, to overcome, and to be better, stronger at what we do, more powerful. Because of that, this is one of the reasons that I've been working with Apep. I've been working with Apep because, as you know, Apep was the serpent of the primordial chaos, which is the embodiment of darkness and disorder. Apep's desire was to devour Ra, or Re, which would make Apep the greatest adversary of the gods, immortal, always a regenerating deific mask. Apep is destroyed each night and is then resurrected anew the next night during the journey of Ra or Re through the Duat or underworld. Apep originated from the spittle of Net, also known as Netet or Neith, the very mother of Ra or Re who existed in the primordial chaos waters. Apep assumed the form of a serpent of immense size, which was about 120 yards long, which is longer than a football field plus another 20 yards. Its massive coils which curved crooked into the dark waters in which he dwelt. The Egyptians called Apep the world encircler and serpent of rebirth. His unrestrained nature was echoed in a roar which is heard throughout the Duat. Much like his elevated manifestation, Set was said to have clawed out of his mother, the goddess Nut, in the pyramid texts. Apep is also a powerful being with inherent magical powers. His nature is bringing counter motion to the cycle of Earth, in effect by being the adversary of the gods and the god Re, or Ra, inspiring them to gain strength and wisdom by overcoming him temporarily. Apep exists in a realm beyond that of the gods and humanity, a reality which is reachable beyond the realm of the dream state, or the astral plane, and the spiritual realm which is in the most dark recesses of the unconscious, the very abyssic abode of primal chaos. Apep created also several chaos monsters which assist him during his attacks against Re. One is named Rerek, which was also a form he could assume in controlling mist, cloud, darkness, and rains. Sabaul and Nak are also manifestation of Apep, while the god Set spears Apep and assists Re or Ra in his war. It is considered that Apep is the unrestrained predatory form of Set. Thus, Set mastering Apep is the focus and control of primal instinct and energy. Let me say this again. Apep is considered the raw primal version of Set. Set being an example of the individuated consciousness, non-conformity, and mastery of the self. Thus, when you work with Apep and you tap into that primal chaotic aspect of yourself, you're bringing in Set, which is the mastering aspect of Apep. Set masters Apep, which is the focus and control of your primal instincts and energy. So when working with Apep, what you're basically doing is going deeper into your subconscious mind, deeper into the primal aspect of yourself, deeper into dealing with the reality of who and what you are. On the left-hand path, we do not run from our primal instincts. We do not run from our lower based desires. We do not run from our issues, trauma, and pain. No, because that all is an example of Apep going to the deepest parts of the unconscious mind, the abyssic self. And when you are able to do that, you're able to unleash and bring forth tremendous powers, but also tremendous pain, problems, and issues that must be confronted on a left-hand path in order for you to progress and grow into a stronger, more powerful person. Drinking my tea. Anyways, so as a black adept on a left-hand path, when I activate Apep, the serpent that coils, in left-hand path Tantra, also known as Brahma Marga, that path is also a path of non-conformity and learning to use your desires, specifically your sexual desires, to grow to another level of existence. See, in Brahma Marga or left-hand path Tantra, the sinister, the taboo is considered just as sacred as what religious people would consider the pure, the holy, and things of that nature. Because what happens is you start to see the divine or the sacred in everything, because you realize there is no good or bad on this work. As the 7 principles of Tahuti make mention, everything is varying degrees of the same thing. Vibrations, frequencies, and varying degrees of the same thing. Good or bad or polarity is only varying degrees of the same thing. What happens is your limited perception based upon your upbringing, your culture, your religion, your traditions, allows you to look at things in an aspect of good or bad because it's harmful to me or beneficial to me. In reality, that is not how the universe, nature, the 7 principles of Tahuti state. None of that is realistic. What is realistic is that all of these are varying degrees of vibrations and frequencies of the same thing. A polarity, a force, an energy, a thought, an action, a thing of that nature. So when you, on the left-hand path, take inventory of your life, you have to realize that you cannot be afraid to tap into the darkest aspect of yourself. By utilizing certain archetypes, especially Apep, which is considered chaos and darkness and primal instinct, is a perfect archetype to use to tap into the deepest layers of your subconscious mind. Now, be prepared, because as you prepare your rituals and do these rituals, you will either through the meditation in that ritual, dream state, or whatever the case, receive messages of things, fears, doubts, worries, insecurities, traumas, pain, wounds that are going to surface that you may have thought have been healed or may not ever have realized that it was there. Now, once it's there in front of you, the second thing is you now must confront it. You can't just say, oh, it's there and let me run from it. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of the reality of these thoughts or these feelings or these ideas or this pain that I'm experiencing. No, we confront or experience it by going into it to understand it, to then master it, to bring it under control. Such as Set took Apep, the energy of Apep, and brought it under control. Not that it destroyed it, got rid of it. No, it brought it under control because it understands that chaos, that primal instinct, that darkness is necessary for transformation, is necessary for growth, is necessary for change. So when we, for example, discuss rituals, your ritual first and foremost should be focused on an intent with a strong desire. Now your desire, your desire should be so strong And if you're not able to obtain or receive or reach that goal that you desire, it brings pain or frustration to you. When it becomes that strong, then you know that you've really honed in on your target or objective, and now you're able to unleash that intent and desire in an orgasmic state, such a powerful release of energy that your target or your goal is reached immediately. Now, the manifestation, bringing it into the physical reality, can vary. Some work you're going to have to do over and over, because many of us have been programmed since childhood, and we're not going to solve these issues and problems in conditioning and programming overnight. It's still going to be a part of you, and it's still going to exist for a very long time. But the more consistent you are on doing your rituals, the more you will see the growth. You will see the patterns changing. You will see the conditioning changing. You will see how you've become more in control of yourself. You will see the manifestation of your subjective realm manifesting in the objective realm. You will bring that into reality. That is one of the main important goals on the left-hand path. It is becoming a master over yourself. Now, people will say, "Oh, I'm a master of self, and I love myself, and I care about self and self." Listen, superficial, delusional bullshit. If you really loved yourself and cared about yourself, loving yourself and caring about yourself means loving the good, bad, ugly, and beautiful about yourself. Not just the shit that makes you look wonderful and beautiful and so great, but it's also the shit that is disgusting, disturbing, and upsetting about yourself. But you don't just sit there and say, "Okay, well, I have both qualities and all this." No, how do you take that strength and make it into I said that backwards. How do you take that weakness and make it into a strength? For example, I had anger issues for many years, but I learned to channel that anger towards myself. Not in a destructive anger towards myself, but in a motivating aspect. Which means if I feel like I'm being lazy, if I'm not accomplishing my goals laid out for that day, that week, or month, or year, then I become very angry at myself. But that anger fuels me to do something about my laziness and get on it, get going, work it. That's what that anger is. That's how I take that weakness of anger and make it into a strength. As the Sith say, as Darth Sidious told Anakin Skywalker as he was becoming Darth Vader, and he also said this to Luke Skywalker in some variation: your anger gives you focus. When you're very angry, at that very moment you're very angry, you have more focus than ever before. See, your conscious mind is your aware mind, but unfortunately it becomes aware of stupid shit too that are very distracting. So when you're doing rituals, what you're doing is altering your state of consciousness so that you can reach the subconscious mind, the deeper layers of it, so that the superconscious or the true self can communicate to the subconscious mind messages or important things that are necessary for your growth. And it will utilize archetypes, gods, goddesses, deities, whatever you want to call it, to reach you. But it's all about you. Now, don't misinterpret this all about you shit as if you're supposed to be super selfish and all that matters is you and your desires and getting freaky and fucking the world and sucking, fucking, and eating and gluttony. No, that's not what it means. What it means is that it's about your growth and transformation. But when you go deep into yourself and you understand your pain, your trauma, your wounds, you then understand what real compassion is about, not this fake compassion. What real compassion is, you will understand the rage of a person and what made him do something in that rage, because you've experienced rage or may suffer from rage still. So when you are in that moment, the rituals trigger forth the subconscious mind and you say, got it, I got it. Now I understand what rage can lead a person to do. My compassion for that person is greater. It doesn't mean I'm gonna baby them, make excuses for them, and soft shoe the shit. Nah, I'm still let you have it, but I can understand it. But I'm not gonna let you make an excuse for it if you're not willing to change it. That's the difference. Not, oh, he's evil, he's wrong, he's bad because he did this and he did that, and etc., etc., etc. No. Bullshit. That's all bullshit. Okay? That's how right-hand path mentality, light-sider mentality is all thinks. They think in this manner. Working on the left-hand path is a very arduous task. It's not easy, and it's not meant for everybody. See, a lot of people want the fairies and the magical dust and the powders and the things that are going to change their seemingly external world or objective world immediately. But that's all temporary. So that's why those things fluctuate. When you want the objective world to be something more permanent, but it never could fully be permanent because change is always constant, you work on your subjective realm. And you work exclusively on your subjective realm to then bring change in the objective realm. It's a difference. This is why we use rituals. Now, rituals are nothing more than a certain system that you use to achieve control over powers in this material world. In basic, it's basically you're attempting willed control over the spiritual mental planes of being, which then have a reflection on the physical realm or objective realm that you're existing in. So when I create rituals, you first have to focus on the desire. Your intention and desire are the most important thing. Secondly is your timing. When to do, where to do, how to do, at the precise moment that it's most effective. Now, for example, for those dealing with vampiric sorcery, the shadows, using the shades in the dark, midnight or thereafter is the most effective time to use it. Now, if it's your bedtime and earlier because of work, whatever, work it before you go to sleep. But that is one of the most effective times, and your intended target is easier to reach at that moment. So, timing is essential in everything you do. But you have to really have a keen sense of your desire. What is really your desire? What is it that you really want? Now, understand, just because you want something on the left-hand path, you're not necessarily going to get it. Most likely what you're going to get is what you need. And what you need may not always equate to what you want, and it may throw you off. When it does throw you off, you have to be prepared for anything. Because it's not going to be exclusively how you want it to be. And therein is the problem. Because when people don't get what they want, they tend to give up. And something that could have been effective and have a profound effect on them, they give up because they didn't get it right away. So, they tend to go into a mode of giving up and being lazy, and then going back to complaining, and their weaknesses surface, and then back to the same old thing. This is why the adversary on this path is very necessary. The adversary one of the most perfect examples of an adversary is Set or Sutek, who was a warrior king who resisted the established order of his time. At death, Set or Sutek was deified and attributed to storms, war, and darkness, in which he was considered one of the most powerful of deities in the Egyptian pantheon. Now, it's very important to understand that, because you're basically becoming like a rebel, but not a rebel in the sense that you don't have a purpose or a cause. You're becoming a rebel against society, which has been traditionally famous for controlling its subjects, making people slaves. So thus, you think for yourself, you become a master of yourself. You're no longer influenced by superstitions, traditions, people's fairy tales, and all these other craps. So as Set, he challenged the rule of Osar or Osiris, as some would say. And he became notorious in history because of people's religious mind as the adversary or a devil type character. Understand this, as a black adept, we do not worship a literal Satan or demonic archetype just to simply defy the paradigms of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, traditional African religions, or anything else. We look at ourselves as being outside of this natural order of the collective hierarchy, and we visualize ourselves as Set, Sutek, because those attributes are found in us. We do not worship it. We do not pray to it. We do not externalize it. Set is simply a metaphor for who we are as individuals who are non-conformists, who do not follow the crowd and challenge everything. I've been challenging everything since I was a little kid to today. I don't go along with the crowd. I don't follow the majority of people. My background, my ancestry and background, of course, it emanates from Africa. It emanates from the Yoruba tribe, and it emanates from the Mbuti tribe of the Congo region. That's my African aspect. My other aspect is the Taino aspect, the indigenous people of the island. Then I have Spaniard aspect, which has strong Moorish ancestry as well. But that's all a part of what makes a Puerto Rican. However, I challenge the culture. I challenge the superstitions and the beliefs of the culture because I saw how very limiting and controlling they could be. So that makes me an adversary to some people who would be like, oh, you're not very Puerto Rican because X, Y, and Z. But see, when you put people in a box and you say this is what a Puerto Rican is or isn't, most specifically what it is, if you are anything a little different than that, then you stand outside and you're considered an adversary. You're not this, you're not that. That's controlling. That's making you into a slave and not your own master walking your own path. So I refuse to allow myself to be pigeonholed into any one particular thing. As a Puerto Rican, we're supposed to all eat rice and beans. Yeah, I eat rice and beans, I do. But that's not all I eat. I eat a lot of different styles of food. Because diversity is the spice of life for me. So I enjoy diversity or diverse foods. As a Puerto Rican, you're supposed to only date Puerto Rican women. Bullshit. I've loved black women all my life. Since I was 11 years old, the first woman I ever dated was African. Well, actually, she was Jamaican. Then African American, then two other Jamaican women. When I was 11 years old, always been attracted. Is that a foreign? Is that interracial dating? Hell fucking no. Let me address that now. How can it be interracial dating when I have African ancestry? Not a little bit. I'm talking about a large percentage of African ancestry. So how can that be interracial dating? Nah, see, this is what puts people in boxes and doesn't allow for the expression of who you are. If an African American woman African Caribbean woman, African Latina woman wants to date somebody who looks like me, why would you have to be put in a box because you don't fit this RBG standard or this pro-black standard of what a real original black man should look like? First of all, not everybody in Africa looks the same. That's one mistake. The concept we have of what a black person looks like is mostly a West African concept. The original people were found in East Africa, mainly Kenya, Ethiopia, and those areas, and there is a diverse phenotypes in those areas. We all don't look the same, and you even go to South Africa. You go to the Sand people of South Africa. They have proven that the Asians descended from this group of, or this large tribe in South Africa. They're not dark brown skin. Some of them are light yellowish brown skin. And they have what would be considered Asian looking eyes. You cannot put people in a box. But that is what tradition does. That is what culture does. That is what society does. Put people in a box. And if you stand outside of that box, you're the adversary. Yes, I am. That's why I'm on the left-hand path. That's why Set Satuk is one of my archetypes, one of my metaphors, symbols. So is Apep. Because I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, Ra, I worship thee, Ra. Fuck Ra. I don't mean fuck Ra in the sense that I don't fuck that nigga for doing and being and making us worship. I'm saying fuck Ra because I don't bow down to no one, no thing, no way, no how. No God, no goddess, if they were real, which they're not, would I bow down to? I don't bow down to no man, no woman. Fuck that. I did that for years. Never again. I control my life. I control what I do. I control these thoughts. I program these thoughts. It's day and night task to deprogram yourself, or should I say reprogram yourself, and decondition yourself from the shit that's been put there for all our lives. So, does that make me wrong, Puerto Rican people, because I love black people? No, it doesn't. Because a large part of our culture is African. Where would Puerto Ricans be if Africans were not in our land, were brought to this land by force in the island of Puerto Rico, and they helped create salsa music. They helped create bomba. They helped create reggaeton now. They helped create hip-hop. They influenced jazz. Where would I be without African people in doing the salsa dance, which is nothing more than a variation of an African dance? Where would I be if it wasn't for that influence? Where would I be without the sancocho, pollo guisado, and many of the other dishes that are African influence in the Puerto Rican cuisine? Where would I be? You understand me? As well as where would I be without acknowledging my Taino ancestry in the areas of the island that my family comes from? Nahuabo, which is a Taino word. Yabakua, another Taino word. And many of the influences that were brought into the Puerto Rican culture because of the Tainos. Spaniards as well. The Spanish language was brought there. However, it was Africanized, Tainoized, because they still could not pronounce a certain word, so they created their own dialect. But it's still part of us. You cannot just say you're not this because you don't date a lot of Puerto Rican women. It's the same thing if I date a black woman in America and Puerto Ricans who are in America and we speak mostly English nowadays. And what the hell's the difference? There's little variations, but your closed mind allows you to stay in this tunnel. And when you're in that tunnel, you become a slave and you follow people. This is why Apep is necessary for myself on the left-hand path and those who choose to work with Apep. So, if you want to work with Apep, I'll leave you with a ritual. Take your Atheme and create an inverted pentagram. Then, in the middle of that pentagram, create a coiled serpent. And take your Atheme and do a circle with the inverted pentagram again within that circle with the coiled serpent. Take 4 black candles and put them north, south, east, west. And create an invocation invoking Apep. Invoking the darker aspect of yourself. Invoking the chaotic energy and the primal instinct so you could reach deeper down into your subconscious mind. And when you're doing the circle, 3 times go around the circle and say, I invoke Apep, I invoke Apep, I invoke Apep, and then stand in the middle of the circle. But you're doing this on the ground or the earth or the floor. And I do it 3 times representing 3 coils, and I'm coiling or bringing up the Apep energy from the duads or underworld and churning it and bringing it up and up, almost like awakening the Kundalini. It's a little variation, a little different. Once you do that and then you do your invocation, sometimes I like to take my glass or chalice, fill it with wine, or me particularly, I don't really drink anything, so I just use grape juice as a substitute. And I make a pact with Apep, which really is a pact with myself, that I will be an adversary and utilize my primal instincts and chaotic energy and darkness to become stronger, to make my weaknesses into a strength. This is a ritual that can be done. However, do it your way, because you have to personalize it. That's when it's stamped with your energy and it becomes more effective. So this is why I work with Apep, and why for exclusively right now for the next 3 to 6 months I'm working with Apep, which is the more chaotic aspect of Set. So for the next 3 to 6 months I focus just on working with that. Trust me, I've seen other archetypes while working with this, but they're all in my grimoire to work with them after this time period, because I'm going to master and benefit this energy. Receive benefits from this energy without being diverted or distracted. I have to be totally focused on this and reap what I can from it to get a total understanding, middle standing, overstanding, however standing you want to use, to really get the benefits that are necessary. So I hope this helps some individuals understand the usage of Apep and why utilize Apep, and help you dissect and kind of destroy some of the religious philosophy or mentality that you may still be holding on to, so that you can become that powerful serpent, that black adept, to continue to change and grow and master yourself. Again, check us out on Awakening Universal Minds. We do it on the first Thursday and the third Thursday of every month. And that's on TalkShoe.com. The name of the show is Awakening Universal Minds. Check us out there. You can also check me out on Google Plus on Dark Occultist 99, or my YouTube page, Dark Occultist 99. Hit like and share with others. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at darkoccultist99 at outlook.com. Once again, my peoples, have a good day. Peace.